I wanted to talk about this drug dealer. A lot of people may not have heard of this name, Fabio Ochoa. The only way you would know this name is if you up on all the Pablo Escobar documentaries. I don't know if you ever watch all these. Netflix did a whole series on Pablo Escobar.
Yeah, he kept escaping.
Yeah, he's probably the most famous drug dealer out of South America. But Fabio Ochoa was one of those dudes that was doing his thing from Colombia. And I was surprised to read this article. Notorious cartel drug lord Fabio Ochoa released from U.S. prison and deported back to Colombia after serving 25 of the 30 years he was sentenced to back in the day.
Back in the day, what year?
Well, what's 25 years ago? That would have been 1999. Yeah, 1999. He did 25 years.
So you think he got absolutely nothing going back to Colombia?
No, he definitely has a lot when he goes back to Colombia. Here, I'm gonna read some of this article. It says one of Colombia's legendary drug lords and key operator of the Medellin cartel has been deported back to the South American country after serving 25 of the 30-year sentence. A short while later, Fabio Ochoa was again a free man. Ochoa arrived at Bogota's airport on a deportation flight wearing a gray sweatshirt, carrying his personal belongings in a plastic bag. After stepping out of the plane, the former cartel boss was met by immigration officials in bulletproof vests. There were no police on site to detain him. So basically, he's a free man. And this article, which I'll put a link in the show notes, it goes on to say that a lot of his possessions were not able to be seized when the United States took him into custody. So he's going back to money.
He gonna be a king out there.
But he's 67 years old. It says here, his older brothers amassed a fortune when cocaine started flooding the U.S. in the late 70s and early 80s, according to U.S. authorities, to the point that in 1987, they were included in the Forbes magazine list of billionaires. So yeah, he's not going home broke.
Drug lord Fabio Ochoa Vasquez of the Medellin cartel was released from a U.S. prison Tuesday after serving 25 years. The 67-year-old, along with his two brothers, became billionaires in the 1980s while running a cocaine distribution operation out of Miami. He was also a former associate of notorious Colombian drug lord Pablo Escobar.
I wonder, is his brother still alive?
I'm not sure if they're all alive, but
It's his older brother too. So is his brother probably in the 70s?
Yeah, he's 67. So yeah, it says he was living in Miami. Ochoa ran a distribution center for the cocaine cartel once headed by Pablo Escobar, who died in a shootout in 1993. And there's a new documentary about Griselda Blanco. She was running the cocaine in Miami, and there's a character that actually plays Ochoa, this dude, in the TV show on Netflix. Did you check that out much?
No, I'm up on a girl though, cause I remember hearing about the dude that started writing her while she was in jail.
Oh, the brother.
Yeah.
The brother. What was he? He was from Orange. No, he was from Oakland.
Yeah, that's some Oakland shit to do though. He started writing her while she was in jail.
Yeah, and
shout out to Bay Area. They play her with that shit.
And he got plugged into her. But you got to be careful because she killed like 2 or 3 of her exes, Griselda. So
I'd just be faithful.
He was taking a risk.
Well, he probably thought the risk wasn't as high because he was free and she wasn't.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But he would go visit her in custody.
Where she was locked up at?
She got arrested by Orange County authorities, and I think she was in the state. She got transferred between state and feds. So I don't know where she did most of her time at, but she only did like 5 years.
Oh, she out?
She got deported. She got deported just like Ochoa did, and somebody shot her in the head in Colombia.
Oh,
yeah.
I wonder why.
Shit, you know how much damage she done did as a trafficker in Miami, and they killed most of her sons. She only got one remaining son. She had 4 sons. 3 of her sons got murdered.
Damn.
And the one son, well, you know what the surviving son's name is? The dude from Scarface. She named her son Michael Corleone. So he's still alive. He's the only surviving son. So yeah, I thought it was a risk when bro did that, but yeah, she was in custody, so he probably knew what he was doing.
He ended up telling on her about some shit though.
He
right?
did? I don't know. He wrote a book. He wrote a book about her. So
Oh, if he didn't, excuse me, brother. I'm gonna double check later because it's been a long time when I run across that storyline.
all right, here's a part where they mention the brothers. It says, along with his two older brothers, Juan and George Ochoa, turned himself in to Colombian authorities in the early 1990s under a deal which they avoided being extradited to the U.S. That was smart. I'm going to turn myself into the Colombian police because they won't extradite me back to the U.S. The three brothers were released from prison in 1996, but Ochoa was arrested again years later for drug trafficking and was extradited to the United States in 2001 in response to an indictment in Miami.
Ochoa was originally named in an indictment in the U.S. for the 1986 murder of Barry Seal, a drug smuggling pilot for the Medellin cartel, who became a DEA informant. He and his brothers surrendered to Colombian authorities in 1990 when Colombia did not have an extradition treaty with the United States. So the brothers were promised that they wouldn't be turned over to U.S. authorities. Ochoa served nearly 6 years in a Colombia prison and was released in 1996. He was arrested again in Colombia in 1999, along with dozens of other drug lords. Colombian authorities then agreed to extradite him to the United States in 2001. Then in 2003, Ochoa was convicted of drug trafficking and distribution of cocaine. He was sentenced to 30 years in prison. Richard Gregory, one of the prosecutors who helped convict Ochoa, told the Associated Press authorities were never able to seize all of his family's illicit drug proceeds and says he expects Ochoa will have a welcome return home.
Wow, I'm surprised because a lot of times Colombia won't extradite to the United States, but they did send this guy.
Why though? I wonder what. Hold on, do they got a law like they supposed to stand on or?
No, there's no law, but Colombia doesn't have an agreement where it becomes law. If you have an agreement with the country, then it's law. But Colombia does not have an extradition agreement with the United States, so they could deny extraditing if they want to.
Okay, so sometimes they honor it, sometimes they don't.
Yes, it's up to them. He was the only suspect in that group that opted to go to trial, resulting in a conviction of 30 years. So yeah, Fabio Ochoa, he was a major drug trafficker, and also it mentions here, but the former member of the Medellin cartel was recently depicted in a Netflix series Griselda, where he first fights the plucky businesswoman Griselda Blanco for control of Miami's cocaine market, and then makes an alliance with the drug trafficker played by Sofia Vergara. That's a really good mini series on Netflix.
What is a plucky businesswoman? What is plucky? What is that?
She was feisty. She was feisty. She was aggressive. She was like a dude, you know, and she killed her two of her exes. So yeah, she was someone that you didn't want to do business with.